Welcome to this week's edition of Black Authors Matter TV, where we interview the latest movers and shakers in the African American literary community. You'll meet some old friends, discover new ones, and stay abreast of the latest book developments around the country and even the world. So sit back and relax for the next 2 hours with Black Authors Matter TV co-hosts Gwen Richardson and Dr. Rhonda Lawson.
Good evening and welcome to Black Authors Matter TV. I'm Gwen Richardson, your host for tonight, and I've been away on a wonderful cruise that I went on to Alaska for 10 days. I sent a little video to let you all know that I was on the cruise. That was the best. I've been on, this is my 8th cruise. I think this one was the best. So, welcome to the show. If you haven't watched it before, or if you're coming back, welcome back. We have an exciting show for you tonight. We have 2 guests, and then the second half of the show, we have our book club Kickback with Victoria Christopher Murray and her new book, The First Ladies. So I do have a couple of updates, and I want to let people know about the National Black Book Festival. All the vendor space is sold out, and we don't have a waiting list. So if you didn't get a chance to sign up this year, then plan early for next year. It's always normally the last weekend of October. Next year, the dates are the 24th through the 26th. But the excitement is building. It's going to be an excellent event this year, and we can't wait. So without further ado, we're going to bring on our first guest, Vincent Watson. And Vincent, he's combining 2 things. He's combining poetry and business together. And he has a book called 21 Years, a collection of poems on leadership. Now, I don't know if this is his only book, his first book, or if he has other books, but we welcome him to Black Authors Matter TV. And Vincent, if you could take your unmute your mic, then we'll be able to hear you. And my co-host is on, Dr. Rhonda. I haven't seen you in 3 weeks, and that's forever. I know, it feels like forever. I had to make some adjustments, like this going live again.
Right.
Just, get back in the mode. So Vincent, you got your mic on now? Okay. Is your volume up? Because it looks like your mic is working, but we can't hear you. We saw your lips moving, but we can't hear you. So check your volume on your device, whatever device if you're using your laptop, check your volume. There's a little microphone on the side. Make sure it's at a high percentage. 100% would be great. It's a little microphone over there on the right-hand side at the bottom. Now you have it on mute again, so I'm going to ask to unmute. And I noticed that you logged in twice, so I don't know if you tried to log in on 2 different devices or not.
Well, we can always go to the old standby, and I can just call him, and at least we'll be able to see him.
Right. Or if you want to try logging back in on your other device, I don't know, that might work. On your cell phone, just use the same Zoom link and try logging in again. Meanwhile, I want to look and see who's logged on so far. I haven't checked who's online, but we are back, and we have some exciting weeks ahead for the show, for the book festival, and all the things we're doing. We have a lot that's in store, and we have a special surprise new thing that, Rhonda, you don't know about it yet, but I need to.
I too.
Yeah. I need to let you know about it. I have to do that offline, but it's related to children's books.
Okay.
So we're excited about it's a brand new initiative that we're doing. And while Vincent is waiting, give us an update Vincent, do you have your sound yet? Oh, you're doing your cell phone? You're gonna switch over. Give us an update, Rhonda, on you had an online workshop or seminar or something?
Yes, I had a 5-day masterclass, and it was great. It was really awesome. There were people, I wasn't sure when you do a 5-day masterclass, you always wonder if by the 5th day if you're going to be talking to yourself. And there were people who stayed the entire 5 days. They got a lot out of it, and I'm looking forward to really getting to know some of the people who were in the class. We talked about fiction writing, and we went from grammar and punctuation and sentence structure up to character development, plot development. We also talked about setting the scene. So it was a really good class, and I think everybody got something out of it. So I was excited about it.
Well, while I was on my cruise, I read 3 books, 400-page books.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Did you do anything else besides read?
Oh, lots. I'm a fast reader, but I don't get a chance to just like sit for 2 or 3 hours
Right.
that often. And I was able to do that. Plus on the flight, in the airport, on the plane, in the room. No, I did a lot. I did a lot of stuff. And we went on excursions, we went whale watching.
Nice.
We went on this dog sledding thing. It's a wonderful tour.
You didn't snatch any icebergs, did you? You know, Martha Stewart got in trouble for that.
No, no, but we saw them. I mean, we were right with the glaciers. So Vincent, how are we coming on the sound?
Well, he created.
Yep, can you hear me?
Yes. Okay, great, wonderful.
Yeah, good evening.
All right, good evening, and welcome to Black Authors Matter TV.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so you have a book called 21 Years, a collection of poems on leadership.
Yes, ma'am.
And is this your first book, your only book, or is this a culmination of other work you've been doing?
It is my first book, but it's not my only book. I have 5 other children books out there, and I have one on the way and 2 and one that's being illustrated. So it is my first book, my very first adult book.
It's published.
Well,
Yes.
what did you decide to do? I mean, I've seen a lot of books on leadership, but you don't see a lot of poetry books about leadership. What made you decide to go that route?
Well, hopefully I'm the first, and it is unique. It is the only book on leadership that's written in poetry or written in rhyme. And I've read several authors. I mean, pretty much most of the leadership books is out there in stores I've read, and they seem to get redundant. It's like the same information just being regurgitated by a different person. And I wanted to take a chance and put a different spin. And I said, in the process of writing, I said, he's gonna do really good. I was gonna do really bad. So I took a chance, and there we have it.
Well, you can use poetry to great effect in topics that aren't traditional. So kudos to you for stepping outside of a box and seeing if it will work, because we never know what exactly will work when we're self-published and we're doing.
I think it could work because I'll tell you, as a leader, sometimes you don't want to read a leadership book, or you don't want to read anything that's just going to make you think too hard because you're trying to decompress. And I think with poetry, it just hits a different brain cell. It hits a different nerve. And it may be easier to take in that way instead of just going through a how-to type book.
Yeah, I agree. And I hope it's thought-provoking, but at the same time, I hope it's entertaining. So that was my goal, was to paint a picture, to entertain as well as inform through rhymes and through my 20 years of experience as a leader.
So do you do other poetry, or is this a first endeavor to do poetry for you in this book?
I did poetry many moons ago when I was in college. I kind of like stepped away from it as I entered into the real world, but after some life events, it seems like I can only write in rhyme. So everything I write and everything I publish is all in rhyme. So I try to write the traditional way, non-rhyming scheme, but I just can't, my mind just won't allow me to do it. Because I find it a lot more challenging to write it in rhyme. And I think it's more creative, and I think it may be more effective as far as the readers receiving it. But as I've gotten books out there, I discovered like not everyone's a fan of rhyming schemes and all that other good stuff. So the books are for who they are, and I guess it is what it is.
Well, the name of the book is 21 Years, a collection of poems on leadership. What is the 21 years?
The 21 years is the 21 years of military service. So I was an officer in the United States Army. So I retired at 21 years. So I wanted a title that was different and at the same time monumental to my life. So I came up with 21 years, and then on the cover, I put my daughter that's standing behind some soldiers on the cover. So I thought it was pretty unique.
Well, veteran to veteran, thank you for your service. I did 23 years in the Army myself.
Thank you for your service. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I highly respect people who spend a career in the military. The people that I've met, including Rhonda, I haven't met you yet, Vincent, but I haven't met anybody yet who spent a career like 20 years in the military that wasn't solid, you know, on leadership, teamwork, because the military is about teamwork.
Right.
And they tend to be optimistic too. I haven't met one yet that was pessimistic, and pessimistic people and me, that's like oil and water, whatever the opposite thing is.
I was in the Army. I hated pessimistic people. And I would tell them all the time, stop coming up with 21 excuses why something's not going to work. And then tell me why it can work and how you're going to make it work. I mean, all that complaining is not getting anything done.
Yeah, well, yeah. And I wasn't in the military, but I've been in leadership as a business owner for many years. And that's true in business too. You have to be optimistic. You have to be a problem solver.
Right.
When a challenge comes your way, you can't say, woe is me, or whine. I can't stand people who whine, but because it's like, okay, who are you whining at? And what do you expect to happen? And whining never solved anything. So I just really respect people who, and that's a commitment, because you're committed to the military, and you also are signing up for any kind of incursion we get in, any kind of conflict. You're signing up for all of it.
Right.
And so that takes a lot of courage.
You're in New Braunfels, Texas, correct?
I am.
Okay, so does that mean that you retired from Fort Hood?
Yes, I spent most of my active duty time at Fort Hood, so I'm very familiar with the great place, Fort Cavazos, as they call it now. So yes, ma'am.
Yes, yes. Fort Hood. I spent a couple of years there myself. Great.
Okay. Yeah, it is a great place. So you know where I'm coming from.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you also wrote children's, oh, you have 2 upcoming children's books. Nina Doesn't Like to Do Anything New, and Andrew the Ant Leads the Crew. First of all, those rhyme, and you said you talk in rhymes. So I guess you just proved that.
Yep, so I'm excited. So Nina is completed, just have to get it published, and Andrew is up for illustrations. So hope to have that illustrated by the end of the month, and look forward to bringing it to the book festival out there in Houston.
Okay, yeah, you're signed up for the festival, and so we'll see you then. And what did you pick poetry as your category? No, you picked business and leadership as your category, as I recall.
I couldn't tell you. I got so many things going on, so I
believe you picked business and leadership. I believe, but I think that's really good, and I like the fact that you have a motivational message. You picked 2 scriptures one scripture that you use as your motivation. And will you tell the audience what that is? I won't tell it for you.
Well, my website is VAW 413. So 413, of course, is Philippians 413. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So I truly believe that anything that we want to accomplish or anything we put our minds to, if God given us the time and everything else, then we're able to do it. So we not having the resources, we not be in the best environment. But I thank God overcomes all those things, and we just have the heart commitment and willingness to go out there and chase after it.
Amen to that.
Yeah, I agree. Philippians 4:8 is one of my favorite scriptures. That's think on these things, whatsoever things are good, lovely. That's about being optimistic. Think about positive things. And that's what the word tells believers, that we should be focusing on the positive and the good and not the negative. But we are really bombarded and surrounded by negative messages, negativity, negative people.
Philippians 4:13 though, because we as a people have grown up being told that we can't do this, Black people don't do that. And when I hear people say that, it does something to me. I can't stand it. And I've always told people, you can do whatever it is that you want to do if you put your mind to it and if you believe in God. Because 4:13 says that we can do all things through Christ. And so stop putting limitations on yourself saying that we can't do this or we don't do that. I mean, it just does something to me. And I don't know if y'all remember, but when Evander Holyfield was still fighting, his robe that he would wear to the ring actually had Philippians 4:13 stitched in the collar part of it.
Oh, okay. I didn't watch boxing, but I know didn't he have a church or go into ministry or something? That's an off topic, but I seem to recall that. Or he made a huge contribution to churches or something like that. As I recall, Evander Holyfield did. So the 21 years, when people read that, what do you want them to receive or reflect on? Because some people might believe it means you have to take 21 years to do whatever it is. And 21 years are going to go by. If you keep living, they will go by. But, there are different milestones along the way. But the 21 years, that's going to pass. If we keep breathing, it's going to come.
Yeah, so hopefully I'll caveat and say, no, I don't want to paint the picture that it takes 21 years to grow into a leader. So I want to, I guess, dispel that right now. But what I hope to get is, the book is broken down into 3 chapters. The first section is leading yourself. So I firmly believe that to be a great leader, you first have to have some self-leadership, about some experience with leading yourself first. And you can apply those experiences and lessons that you learned leading yourself to lead others. So at the end of the day, I hope people take away that leadership is more than a position. I mean, yes, the position gives you the title, gives you the power, gives you the authority, but leadership is more about participators. So being there, understanding people, and working with others to achieve a common goal.
Okay, now what are the other 2 sections?
There's 3 sections. I don't have the book in front of me. That book came out in March. It's been a long time. I wrote several books beyond that. But I think the 3rd section is the issues with leadership. So it's leading yourself, leading others, and then concerns or issues with leadership, something like that is the 3rd section. So it's just my thoughts on what's not so good about leadership and how we can fix it.
So basically, these are lessons that you've learned over the 21 years you were in the military.
Yeah, it's a combination it's a lot. So I've had people give me some reviews and say, man, I can feel your heart. I can feel your heart in the book. So yes, it is very personal to me, but at the same time, it's a collection of poems or leadership traits that I think a good leader should have.
Wonderful.
Now, what do you think some misconceptions about leadership? Do you have any thoughts on that? What people think leadership is, it may not necessarily be.
Well, I think the biggest misconception about leadership is the position. So I feel like a lot of leaders feel once they get the position or the title, that people kind of automatically fall into the role of being a follower, but that's far from true. So, like I said, the position gives you the title, gives you the authority, but it doesn't give you the respect of the people that's underneath you. And to earn, you really have to work, earn, and show and prove to get the respect of those underneath you.
Well, that's true. And some people think the leadership is just telling people what to do.
It's not.
And that's not it. But some people think that's what it is.
People to do what they may not even want to do. That's a part of leadership. Or they want to do it, or motivating people to want to do something, for the greater good. That's all a part of leadership.
Right. And sometimes you have to get people that you're leading to stretch. And if you have a vision for where you want something to go, you have to make sure they understand the vision and they feel like they're a part of it.
Yeah, amen. So vision is one of the chapters in the book. So get the book.
Okay.
Vision.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, you have to have a vision. You have to be able to communicate the vision to people who are following you and make them
all
feel.
of them. You're hitting all of the chapters in the book. You have to read the book. Communication is one of the chapters in the book. So Gwen is doing an outstanding job of putting those traits out there.
Well, I've been in leadership for way more than half of my life. I mean, I was leading as a kid, so but I didn't really know what I was doing there when I was a youngster. But when you have a vision, you just act on it, and then sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But you learn from it. You learn from your mistakes, and a lot of times, unless you go through something, you can't see it. You can't really learn from it if you don't actually do it. Somebody can tell you something, but they either need to show you something or you need to go through it yourself. A lot of times that's what it takes. And once you go through something, you're smarter, you're stronger. You know more than the person who hasn't gone through it. Yeah.
So that's another chapter in the book, self-awareness. So okay. I've had many experiences that I said, unfortunately, repeated experiences because I didn't reflect on those experiences at the time. So it took me a few times to really just sit back and reflect what was going on inside of me and what kind of impact it was happening on what was happening on the outside. So that's one of the challenges I put out there for all leaders or anyone who desires to be in a leadership position. Become self-aware. Become self-aware and take time to reflect on your words, your thoughts, your actions, and how they impact those you come in contact with.
Now, I have a question for you about a person who's young in leadership, let's say in their 20s, and the people that they're leading are much older than them.
Yeah, been there, done that.
And so what advice would you give that person?
Take your time. So take your time. I mean, just because you have the position, you still have to grow into a leader. No, it won't take you 21 years, but take your time and be willing to make mistakes. Be willing to make mistakes, take chances, and definitely learn from those, even though they may not be in a leadership position. You can learn from anyone and learn from those who may have been in the job, not necessarily in a leadership position, a lot longer than you have. So, but just take your time, make mistakes, and definitely pick the brains and the minds of everyone else that's senior or that's been more tenured in that position than you have, or in that job or that organization.
Very nice. Very, very nice. And I would also say, and I think what you're saying is also about respect. I mean, a young person leading people who are older than them, they have to know that the people who are older than them bring something to the table and respect them for the knowledge that they bring. And use that to make your decision, because as a leader, you still have to make those decisions, but listen to the people around you because they're going to make you successful.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I think from the organization I worked in, everyone wants to be successful. It's just about finding that niche and where you kind of fit in to bring the team together to get to that end, for that common goal as far as what you're trying to achieve.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well,
Oh,
Okay, we have a question from
Yes.
Vivian King. I think Vivian, I don't know if she's a new viewer, but she said self-awareness is so important. What tools would you suggest to help people become more self-aware?
But I don't have any tools. I think I think it should come naturally, but I understand it doesn't. So just try to reflect. But the biggest tool I would say is just understand what you want, how you want to look as a leader, what you want to be received, how you want to be received, what you want people to take away from you as a leader, what you want people to think about you as a leader. And if you have a vision for what kind of leader you want to be, then understand what that looks like, and then just reflect on whether or not your actions, your communication, or whatever you do meets towards that end. But I would say definitely have a vision for what kind of leader you want to be. Have an idea of how you want people to perceive you and to receive you.
Authenticity. That's what I'm hearing. Know
Yeah.
who you are and be true to who you are.
So there's no right or wrong answer. Some guys want to be that hard-nosed leader. Some guys want to be received as more gentle, or whatever the case may be,
Right.
fair. But I mean, there's no right, there's no wrong. But whatever it is, make your decision, stick with it, and just reflect on those actions.
Well,
Love
one
it.
thing about the military, though, is that there is a chain of command, and you're supposed to respect the rank above you, or there are consequences if you don't. So that's not the case in other
Yeah.
cities.
We take them around the back and beat them until they submit.
Yeah, the military is a different animal, but there's a lot of similarities. And perhaps between just Fortune 500, these companies and organizations is out here in the public sector.
Yeah, you know, a lot of big companies these days, or maybe even in the past too, but they look favorably on people with a military background because they know, one, that they're used to working on a team, and they're used to following a chain of command.
Mhm.
And you know, you have to work in the military. It's not one of those settings where you can kind of just slough off.
Oh, we have people who try though.
Yeah, well, I know basic training is really tough
Mhm.
from what I hear from everyone. It's really more tough than going through a sorority or a fraternity, the induction thing.
So, well, we only have a couple minutes left, but if you want to take a minute, what are your goals with this book? Where would you like to see this book end up?
On the bestsellers list.
Yes.
That's the easy one.
Okay.
Yeah, I have dreams, and I would like to see it being the bestsellers, at least in the thoughts and minds of leaders, renowned leaders, well-known leaders and speakers that's out there. So it's something different, it's something unique, another approach to leadership, but at the same time very informative. But yeah, I would like to see it to be in the best. I like to see it sail and make its way around the world and to the hands of as many people as it can. So that's my ultimate goal.
Well, in order
Okay.
for that to happen, let us know where we can find the book.
Right.
Yeah, so you find the book on my website is vaw413.com. Very simple. You hit it, take you straight there. There's several other books listed there, but yeah, 21 years is listed there as well.
And you have a book signing. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'll get it shipped out as soon as I possibly can.
Okay. And you have a book signing coming up on the 9th, which is Saturday, I believe. And that's at Barnes and Nobles in San Antonio.
That is correct. So if you are in the San Antonio area, if you are in Texas, come out to San Antonio and come to the San Pedro Barnes and Noble location. I'll be there starting at 1 o'clock. And I think I have an hour block from 1 to 2 signing the children's book. I won't have, Barnes and Noble didn't purchase the 21 years, but they purchased 3 of my children's book, and I'll be signing and promoting those books on Saturday.
Okay, well, great. And congratulations on that. And I'm sure you'll have a successful signing on Saturday. And we look forward to seeing you in October at the National Black Book Festival.
Yes, ma'am. God willing, I will be there.
All right, we'll be looking for you.
Yes, ma'am. Same here.
All right, you
All
have a
right.
great night. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hey, everyone, take care. Appreciate your time.
Okay. So that was Vincent Watson, and he has a book on leadership called 21 Years. And he uses poetry as his method of communicating the messages about leadership. So pick up a copy and enjoy it. So we have our next guest. Before we bring our next guest on, I did want to, someone had something that said, well, we're getting lots of hellos and welcome back.
Vivian says she had asked that question because she's run into a lot of leaders who are not self-aware.
Okay.
So, being aware of who you are, it helps you to be authentic. You can't be a leader trying to be what everybody else is. You have to be true to yourself.
Right. And I'll say self-awareness is the flip side of narcissism. It's the opposite.
Yeah, you're right. I can see that.
It's the opposite of narcissism. So being self-aware doesn't mean you're obsessed with yourself. It means you're aware of your limitations, really.
Right.
Your flaws or your faults. And none of us can do everything by ourselves. So being self-aware means, building a team is very important. So that's a big part of being self-aware. So our next guest is Sharon, Dr. Sharon Arrindell. I think I pronounced her name correctly. She has a book called Armored and Victorious, Memoirs of a Crossover Season. So the book was released in June, and it's a sequel to her other book, Weapons for Victory. So welcome, Dr. Sharon, to Black Authors Matter TV.
Oh, are you still muted?
Get a mute.
Hi, everyone.
There you are.
How are you?
Well, I have to tell you, you look absolutely beautiful. I'm loving the blue and white. I love the glasses. Yes.
Yeah. Well, this is me almost every day. So I'm just here to share whatever you want me to share. And I just show up on these platforms, hoping to reach the masses with whatever God puts on my heart.
Amen. Amen to that.
Wonderful. Now, are you Dr. Sharon, are you a Zeta Phi Beta? Are you a member of Zeta?
I'm a Kappa. I'm a Kappa Delta. I'm Kappa. I'm not Zeta, no.
Oh, okay. Well, the blue and white threw me off. I see all this blue and white stuff, and then I see all.
Yeah, because it's actually purple. It probably looks blue out there, but it's purple. Yeah, okay. It's purple. Yeah, okay. It's Kappa Delta Pi. Yeah.
Okay, that must be like a professional organization.
Yeah, it's a education organization. I got on there because of my GPA, so they asked me, and I said yes. I got my degrees late in life, so I never joined sororities or anything like that. But when I was asked to participate, I said yes. And so that's what I am, a Kappa Delta Pi.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
Well, just so you know, it's not too late to join a sorority. You don't have to do it. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yes, I've joined enough stuff to last my time. I am not a young chicken. I'm not 40. I'm not 50. I'm not even 60. I'm past all of that. So
wow, you look amazing.
Thank you. Now I'm just cruising and showing up for those coming behind me and hoping that my back is strong enough to carry these younger folks.
Well, that brings me to my first question. What made you decide that you wanted to pursue this education later in life? All of this education?
Oh boy. Loaded question. My education, I'm a former fashion designer.
Okay.
that's why I always show up like this, right? But I was a designer in New York for many years. I owned a store, and then a hurricane came to New York, and it almost took us out, but we were able to swim out of our house, and the end result was losing everything, just about everything we owned, but we did not lose our lives. And when I say we, I meant my children and I. I was married at the time, but after that episode, my children's father decided to leave, and I had to shut down my store. And the next thing to do was to go back to school. And I went kicking and screaming at first because I did not want to go back to school at 40 years old. But a friend of mine, who we ended up in her home because we had nowhere to live, she said to me one night, after me just going through and craziness, she came down the stairs and she said, "I'm taking your children for one night, and I need you to tell me tomorrow what you're going to do with the rest of your life." And when I looked in the mirror, I had lost, I would say about 26 pounds or so. I looked horrible, but I knew how to pull it together publicly, but I knew what was happening. And so I went back to school. And when I got there, they asked me what I wanted to do, and I had no clue. But they had a program called the EDGE program, and I busted out laughing in front of the lady. And I said, "That's the one for me, because I'm living on the edge." And that's exactly how it started. I got my master's degree, and then I did it in a secular realm of counseling. And I felt like I needed to do the Christian portion. So I saw a degree in biblical counseling and biblical studies for a doctorate. I said, "A doctorate? I don't want that. That's too much work." But I'd already made the phone call. And so the president of the university called me, and he said, "I saw that you started your application, but you didn't finish. And so I can't do any more school. I really can't afford it, whatever." And they waived the initial fee so that I could get in. And that's how I got into that program. And I finished that doctoral degree in 2013. And in 2015, I decided to do a doctoral program in education. And I went back to school. That one, I just kept stopping and going. And then
sounds like my first doctorate.
yeah, I kept stopping and going. And then COVID hit, and I said, "Oh my gosh." But I got COVID, and I almost didn't make it out of the hospital. And so when I was being wheeled out of the hospital, I said to myself, I said, "I'm a designated survivor." And I said, "God, what would you have me to do?" And so I went forward to finish that degree in 2021. When I sat in the audience in San Diego, and I looked to my right and I looked to my left, I saw all these young people. I said, "Y'all better be getting ready to do something with this degree, because I certainly am." And and the rest is history. God has blessed me. The next step was to write the sequel to a book that I had written initially. The sequel is called Armored and Victorious: Memoirs of a Crossover Season. The first book is called Weapons for Victory: Memoirs of a Perfect Storm. And everybody kept asking me to write this sequel, but they have no idea what it takes to write a book, right? A book about your life. and all of the ups and downs and roller coaster rides and different things that you get on to get to victory. But like I said, when I was rolled out of the hospital, I made the decision to be a designated survivor. So part of that was writing this sequel, and I was bent on it becoming a bestseller. So I did everything that I could to promote this book. And on May 2nd, after 16 hours of pumping and pumping, well, it started 3 months earlier, the promotion part of it, and it became a bestseller.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah.
You
So
willed it into existence.
yes. Yes, ma'am.
Well, it sounds like you've had a fascinating journey.
Yeah. That is the word for it. Fascinating is the good word for it. But you know, it's like you said, it's a journey. Everybody has a story.
Yes.
You know, everybody does. I recently went to New York. I was a speaker in New York. I was the keynote speaker, but there was another speaker, and she was the last survivor of 9/11.
Wow.
And I looked at her and she looked at me. You know, we were kind of comparing notes, but there's nothing like being stuck in a rubble for 27 hours.
Right. Is that the lady who was in the stairwell?
Yes.
And she was
Yeah.
rescued? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw her interviewed on TV. That's,
Yeah.
you know, that's a situation where, okay, where you have to say, I know I'm supposed to be here.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely. Yes.
I can't just take it for granted. I have to do something.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, you know, there were a lot of women in that audience. And, you know, when I was speaking, I was, you know, we all have a story, you know, how we want to tell it or what we want to say is a whole other thing. You know, we can keep it to ourselves, but then it becomes selfish.
And it becomes a fading memory. It's not,
That's right.
you know, the
It's
stories
not,
are meant
it's,
to
it's
share.
not a story, you know,
Right.
it's not helping anybody. And it's so much easier to keep it to yourself, right? I could have kept this book to myself. And who would it have helped? No one. And the book is controversial in some places because I am a pastor. I'm an ordained pastor. So I wrote it. It's very, very clear, you know, that I wrote it from a place of victory. And I really didn't care what anybody thought about what I said, except God. That's the only person that needed to care about what I said.
I love that. So, what's in the book?
I thought you guys might have read it.
I wish we could read every book. We have to, we interview 4 authors every week. We don't have time to read every book.
Well, what's in the book? It starts with my childhood, you know, because I had to go back to go forward. And like I said, I had written the previous part of my story, you know, and I've been through divorce a couple of times. The first time, like I said, he said he was done, and that was done. That was 1999, right? And the saga continues. You know, you don't just say you want a divorce and it happens the same day. Right. The saga continued for 2 years, you know, just dragging it out. My children were with me. I became a single mom. And, you know, this African lady from our church, she kept saying, you shouldn't marry again until your husband is deceased. And, you know, I just couldn't listen to that because I was 40 and I felt so, you know, I literally opened my mouth and said, what if he doesn't die? You know, and that was a big question, but I went on this 10-year journey and I never dated. I never did anything. I just went to school with a vengeance and took care of my children. But after that 10-year situation, the loneliness sets in, and I don't know who I'm talking to out there, but loneliness is not a reason to get married to somebody. And so I ended up with someone else. We were married for 5 years, and for 3 of them, you don't even, at that point, you're not even doing it for love. It's just so somebody else could be in the house with you. Like, it just becomes, I'm lonely. I've been waiting 10 years. 10 years is long enough. And this is you talking to God and telling him what to do. 10 years is enough, right? But 10 years was not enough, because I ended up in a situation, and the person became, he got hooked on crack cocaine, ended up in jail. I ended up in the hospital. They thought I was having a heart attack. And I'm just giving you little parts of this story, right?
Yeah.
They thought I was having a heart attack, and I was not. I was having an anxiety attack from the whole situation. Needless to say, at the end of the day, he sent me a text message saying, "I'm setting you free." Well, freedom is what freedom is, right? Because at that time, my bank account said negative $754. So
Wow.
I was in a hole. I didn't know how to survive like that, but I did. I just did. And I wrote about how I survived, and to the point where you get to thrive. You're not just surviving, you're thriving, and people are watching you out there, and you're thriving. Even your children are wondering, oh my God, is my mom gonna die? What's gonna happen to my mom? And you end up not just surviving, but thriving. And after he sent that message, there I was, and I call it in the book, the big D on my chest. I'm a church girl, all the way church girl. I rebelled as a teenager, but came right back where I started. So I'm a church girl. And for a church girl to keep wearing a D on her chest doesn't feel comfortable. And so I was divorced, and I said, well, I guess marriage is just not intended for me. And I went on to live my life, and to live it whole, and to live it well, as a woman of virtue, a woman of purpose, teaching other women how to do that. I'm a counselor. Most of my clients became couples. I was able to save other couples, other marriages, but just not my own. And so at this point in the game, I'm a counselor and a coach. And my niche is pre-marriage, marriage, and divorce care. I even get to marry people, literally officiate their wedding. So, the story becomes so, it becomes exciting now, because now you're bouncing into the areas that God wants you to be in.
Yes.
And while I'm bouncing and I'm doing all that, God still has a plan. That lady said, do not marry until your husband is deceased. And in April of 2019, he passed away from cancer. Passed away from cancer.
The first maid or the second maid?
The first one. And I said, wow, but I still, in my head, marriage is not for me. It's not for me. That's how I'm feeling. And then I walk into Home Depot in October of 2019 when I'm trying to get my life back. And, I had rented out my house because I couldn't afford to keep my house. I rented it out. I got it back. So happy to get my house back. I literally slept on the floor for a while. My daughter kept saying, "You're gonna get a bed? What's happening?" I said, "When I can afford a bed, I'm gonna get a bed." I get a bed. My house became full of furniture from everywhere. And then in October of 2019, I walk into Home Depot to get paintbrushes because I'm painting my house. And this man is standing in front of me that I actually knew. And I literally knew his wife because we worked in ministry together, but she had passed away while we were planning an event in her sleep.
Wow. Oh, wow.
And so this is 10 years after she passed, and I'm standing behind him, and I could not remember his name, but I remembered her name, and I called him by her name. I called him, I said, "That's her husband." And he heard me, and he turned around, busted out laughing, said, "Sharon, what are you doing? Where have you been?" You know. Well, to make this story much shorter, we ended up getting married during COVID.
Wow.
After talking to each other for 49 days straight.
49 days straight.
Yeah, because COVID made you not go out, right? But he kept coming over to the house just to talk to me, and my grandchildren are there, everybody's, and we're just talking to each other. And to me, it's a friendship, but to him, it was a relationship.
Y'all go together.
Yeah, that's what he said. And when he said, "Let's get married," I said, "No, marriage is not for me." You know, I haven't done well in that area. And he said, "Well, we're gonna get married. We're getting married." Well, yeah, we didn't even have a ring. There was no dress. There was no nothing. But we got married on May 2nd, 2020. And I call him my dream guy.
Oh.
He supports.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I don't know, I'm talking and talking. That's what's in the book, right? The whole story is in this 260-page book, including pictures in the back of our family, because we've become a family. And just to tell you, that African lady who said to wait, she was correct, but I needed to wait over 20 years. And if you're out there listening to this, you're probably going, "Oh no, that's not for me." And it might not be for you, but there is something about waiting the way God wants you to wait. Right. And I recently started a coaching program called The Waiting Room, Wait for the Dream. It's for single women. And the wait means woman aligned and authentic, independently thriving. And that's how God wants you to wait. Not chasing after anybody, not having a hissy fit because you're coming home to an empty house, but just waiting in such a way that you don't even notice when he sends somebody your way in Home Depot of all places.
But this woman that I've heard that found a husband in Home Depot.
Yeah.
About Home Depot, and the men in Home Depot can actually fix stuff. You don't want somebody who can't fix anything. Then what is their role?
Well, my husband is a former Air Force sergeant, right?
Okay, another military.
So he's a military guy.
Okay.
And so, and a handyman. He was a handyman. He's not that handy now, but he was a handyman. So to me, it didn't even, at that point, it doesn't even matter about that. What matters is that you waited on God. Right. That's what matters, right?
And often that's the hard part, because you're waiting and it's almost scary to wait because you're wondering if it will ever come.
That's right. That's right. And the thing is, sometimes it does not. And I had to get to the place where even if it did not, it didn't matter. It didn't matter because I was whole. I wanted to be whole. My company, my business is called Inspired Wholeness Enterprise, and everything wholeness, everything I do. As a matter of fact, people call me the wholeness magnet because I feel like you just can't do anything when you're broken. You gotta be whole.
Amen. Amen.
And that's
So
it.
is the story actually a nonfiction book, or is it a fictionalized version of your story?
It's nonfiction. This is the real deal right here. There's nothing fiction about this book. It spilled off of my journaling for all those years. And then I wrote it. But I've written several books. I've written 8 of them, but this is the one that became a number. I wrote an anthology where I was a part of a group of women that wrote, and that became an international bestseller. But this was the first book I wrote on my own that became a bestseller. And I'm very proud of this book and what it will do for others.
Wonderful, wonderful. But thank you for sharing your story with us. Can you let everyone know how they can find your book? We did put your link in the chat though, so we know that we can find it there. But are there other ways that people might be able to reach out to you or find your book?
The link that you put, is it my website?
Yes.
Okay, so if you just go there, and you'll see all the books, and you'll be able to purchase the book there. What the good thing about purchasing it there is because I give free gifts when you purchase from me directly. Yes, but when you purchase from Amazon and what's the other place? Barnes and Noble, you don't get the free gift. But when you purchase it from me, you get a signed copy and you get a free gift.
Wonderful.
So yeah, they can get it from Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com as well.
Okay, I have a question about, is it 2 parts? You have the Weapons for Victory and you have the Armored and Victorious.
Yeah, it's actually 3 parts because I revised the first part. When I was about to write this, I revised the first part because I realized I wrote the first part from a place of pain. And I needed to revise it to write it from a place of victory so that it could connect with this one. I sell it either in 2 parts or 3 parts. And when they go on my website, they'll see that I sell it as a bundle. If people want to read the whole story, some people have already read the first part, so they only need to get this part. And so, yeah.
Okay, all right. And so the Armored and Victorious is the second book. What's the order? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Weapons for Victory is first.
Okay.
Weapons for Victory.
Okay.
And Armored and Victorious.
Okay. All right. Well, Sharon, you have been Dr. Sharon.
It's okay.
People, their props when they
the DR. Yes, man. Work hard for that.
Yes,
thing.
you work hard for that DR. So, Dr. Sharon, thank you so much for being a guest on Black Authors Matter TV, and continued success. Congratulations on your meeting your friend.
Yeah.
And friendship, a lot of times people say that they were friends with their spouses first, and friendship in a marriage is important.
Oh yeah, it is.
Absolutely.
It is. Yeah.
Well,
So thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing your story with us. That you dropped quite a few jewels in that story you told, and I appreciate it.
You did. And
God bless you all.
women, some hope, some women who needed a hopeful message. You gave them.
Okay. All right. Thank you for having me, guys. You guys
And-
have a good night.
And thank you for being here. You have a great evening.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Okay, so the next part of our show is our book club kickback, and we are planning to discuss the first ladies. I need to get my copy. Let me go off camera for 1 second so I can show the
Okay.
book. Yeah.
Yeah, we also have to do the prizes.
We do, but we do that at the end.
Okay.
We do it after the discussion. So, so people can discuss the book. So we are going to be discussing The First Ladies by Victoria Christopher Murray, who's the book. And it's about Eleanor Roosevelt and Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune. So, and their friendship. So we're going to bring on our book club members who have signed on, and also author Victoria Christopher Murray. And someone has a device on, and they could mute their device. That would be wonderful. But I do want to say, from my own point of view, I recently returned from a 10-day cruise to Alaska, as some of you all who watch the show know. I got back, I was on, it was August 21st to the 31st. And this was one of the books I took on my cruise to read, because I wanted it to be fresh in my mind when we did the show. So first I want to say, welcome Victoria Christopher Murray to Black Authors Matter TV. You were on for your other book, and which was hugely successful, the private librarian.
The personal librarian.
Okay, it was hugely successful. And I've personally known Victoria since she really started writing books. And her first self-published book was in our bookstore in 2000, 2001 back there. And so I've been following her amazing career ever since then. She's kept writing. Some people stopped writing. Victoria didn't stop writing. And then now she's going in different directions and all kinds of stuff. So we're excited about that. And we have, I think, 5 book clubs represented on the show tonight so far. Sometimes they sign in late. But the first thing I want to do is do a roll call of the book clubs that are on. If you all can say which book club you represent and what part of the country.
And we have a couple of people hiding. I don't know why y'all are hiding.
Yeah, everybody. For now, you can hide later. So Mama Tony, you go first, since you're on the screen.
Hey, Victoria.
How are you?
You know who I am. I'm Mama Tony from PWOC Book Club. We will celebrate 25 years this June, and I've been following you as long as Gwen. I have my original signed copy that I got at Books A Million in Jacksonville all those years ago. So
I know. We were all so much younger and skinnier then.
yes, we
It was
were.
like 25 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My
children were children then. Now they're grown.
Oh yeah. My daughter was a child. She was like 10 years. She was under 10.
Mhm.
Now she has a baby. She's married with a baby. So
Yeah, and you met Sylvia, our daughter, when she was a little girl.
yeah.
And you kept saying you
Yeah,
couldn't believe
and
that
then
when she grew up.
And then like she went to college and graduated in like 2 days. And then I mean, life is just moving, but
While we're talking about daughters, my daughter helped you sell books at the Zeta Phi Beta conference back in 2008.
Girl, what year was that?
That was 2008.
And then she was with you when you came to see me in Germany, right?
Yep, she sure was.
She came, you drove from Brussels, right?
Well, yeah, I was in Belgium, but I was actually past Brussels, so it took me about 3 hours to get there.
Wow. So yeah. I mean, y'all been rolling with me.
I think we probably all have stories that we can tell. You used to ask me, where do you live? Because every time I go somewhere.
Do you know?
He was in Birmingham. I was there, but that's my hometown, so I went home. I'm just 20 minutes from Jacksonville, so when she's in Florida, I'm there.
I think it was just like maybe 2 or 3 years ago that I realized you lived in Florida, and I was shocked because I think I've seen you every place else except Florida.
And I don't live in Florida. I actually live on the Georgia side, but it's just a short drive across over to Florida.
See, I don't even know where you live.
So Mama Tony, you've given your name. Melinda, can you tell us which book club you're with and where you're located?
Yes, hi everyone. I'm in Georgia. Well, we have members in Georgia and in Florida, but it's the At the Kitchen Table Book Club.
Oh, I love that title, that name.
Thank you.
Okay, Priscilla Myers.
Hi, I
Hi.
see my other founder, Yvette, is on here as well. We're Sisters and Friends Book Club. And we have been going for 27 years, Yvette.
Yep.
27 years this year. And we did read The Personal Librarian, which we all thought it was great. So kudos to you. And we've read other books of yours as well. With us going back as far as we do, our founder, Miss Yvette, she did a listing for us. So we have all of our books that we have read since we've started. So
oh my goodness,
yeah,
that's amazing.
and we read a lot. So
Wow.
yeah, so she and we have 2 more ladies. One of them is deceased, and we have another one, Melinda. We started the book club in 1990.
99, right? 97.
1990, kind of 1996, but we really got structured in 97. We are serious about what we do. Even during the pandemic, we did not miss a beat. We meet 10, is it 8, 9 months? 9
out of 12 months.
Yeah, we started out trying to do it a year, but it began to be a little bit much. But we've been going strong and we have not stopped. We pay dues, we have bylaws, we are serious about what we do. Okay. And I'll let Sister Yvette say a little bit more.
I'm loving the business aspect. So I'm loving the business aspect.
Yes, we're serious.
If you don't read your book and you don't submit a review, you get 2 strikes. You have to pay. We make you pay $5 if you don't read us, or $2.50.
Yes.
So we build up our treasury, and then during the summer we use the money to do outings. So
I love it.
Yeah, but we like Priscilla said, we read your book last September. That was our first book of the about book, because we started in September and we go through May. Okay. So we read it last September, and we're just glad to be here. And I might want to add.
Oh, thank you,
Well, I'm just gonna say this.
Okay, we're not going there, are we?
Yes, we are.
There's a whole bunch of people in here, but the only ones that matter. Look at that perfect. Look at that. Look at that.
And we're from,
you know what
go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, we're from Illinois. Well, we all started here, like in Chicago. We're in the south suburbs of Chicago. And I remember Priscilla did relocate to Texas. So now she meets us on Zoom. So we have, like we said, we haven't missed a beat.
Yeah, y'all are in those states with those governors. Georgia, Texas, Florida. Lord have mercy.
With the crazy folks.
Y'all picked all the things. But what I was saying about the last book club, tell me your name of the book club again.
Sisters, Sisters, SISTAHS.
Okay, Sisters.
And Friends Book Club.
And where are you located?
In Illinois,
They're in
most of us in
Illinois.
the south suburbs of Illinois, and then
Gotcha.
Priscilla just relocated to Texas. So
I relocated
But
by
if you guys get a chance to like print, I don't know how you could do it, but print all the books that you've read, like as an author, I'd be so excited to see that, whether or not my name was on there.
Oh, it was on there. It was on
more
there.
than one.
But it would just be kind of exciting to see something like that, you know?
Yeah, that's
So
amazing.
you want to hold it up just to show what
this is
I
what
actually
she
put
did.
that together.
Okay,
That's
that
all
is
about books.
amazing.
And so
Yeah.
here, and Yvette can maybe send it to you,
Yeah.
Victoria.
Yeah, I mean,
It
I would
lists
just
all
like
the books.
everybody, I would just like kind of everyone to see it. I don't know how, I don't have it in my mind, but I think like on social media, that would be so cool because people would go through, I'm sure you've read some of the books of some of our dear authors who've passed away.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think that it would be so cool for readers and writers to see. I don't know how to make that happen, you know, because it's so many.
Okay.
But I just think it's such a, I gotta figure that out.
And we have a running list too. We have a running list too. And you know,
I mean, I just think
for all 25 years, at the beginning of January, we add the list, the books onto the list from the previous year, and then
That's how we do it.
Mhm.
I love that.
And it's
I
interesting because I'm sorry, I'm just
Go
because
ahead.
we started out 27 years ago, and just to look at how our taste in books has changed. Because when we first started, we were all in our early 30s, and we read a lot of relationship books, a lot of Elin Harris, you know, all of those.
Eric Jerome Dickey,
Travis
and
Hunter.
we only read Black authors, but then as the years went on, we added more. We added a lot of other books as well as white authors. So yeah, we all
because that was our purpose too when we started. We wanted to showcase the Black authors because at that time you didn't have a lot. There was not a lot at all. So we wanted to make sure that we, you know, paid respect and stuff and brought the Black authors out, you know, and learned and talked about not all of the other ones, which their books are good as well. But we did definitely showcase Black art. We learned about a lot. Elin Harris was like the eye opener for us.
What?
Oh yeah.
Back in the day?
Yeah.
Oh, I was calling up my girlfriends. I was married. My husband hadn't passed away then. And I called up my single girlfriends. And I was like, have y'all heard about this?
Yeah.
Oh.
We had some great discussions, and the nice thing, and I'm gonna stop after this one, but the one good thing about it is that sometimes we would have different books that we would read, and the books, you know, sometimes the books weren't all that great, but what would be ideal is our discussion. We might rate the book like a 2, because we had a scale from 5 to 1. And we might rate it a 2 or something, but our discussion about that book was like a 5 and above. So it was always nice and to get a different perspective because it kind of made you look at it a little different.
But isn't that the great thing about books is to inspire conversation?
Exactly.
Because even if you didn't necessarily like the book, just the fact that it would inspire conversation, it would get people talking and make people think. I think that's the best thing about a book.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what
it also allows you to learn about the people that you're in the book club with. It's like, you know, when you sit in church, you say you sit next to this person, but you don't know. But sometimes those book discussions will allow somebody to vent and you find out things that you was thinking, oh my goodness, I didn't know. I would have never thought that she would have gone through something like that. We've had some meetings where we didn't know whether we still liked each other, and then we've had some where we were actually crying, you know, I mean, the tears, ugly tears, you know, but that's what a good book discussion will do for you.
Yeah, because everybody brings their own experiences, their own background to the discussion, and that's what makes it so wonderful.
And nothing better than having a glass of wine and some good food with it too.
Yeah, well, the Kush City Book Club, we're 20, what year is this? 22 years old.
Okay.
But we don't have all of the books we read because we had change in leadership, and so we don't have all of the books. But I'm sure our list is going to be similar to some of your lists over the years.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because we read almost, I would say, 80% of what we read is Black authors, and we meet every month. Now, sometimes we'll skip a month, but we're a monthly book club. So we didn't skip a beat after COVID. As a matter of fact, after COVID forced us onto Zoom, we've been on Zoom ever since.
We have.
Yeah. It makes it easier, doesn't it?
It makes it easier to meet.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then even Gwen, with how long you and Rhonda have had Black Authors Matters TV. I mean, that probably, if you showed a list of all the authors.
Yes, that's a lot.
Yeah, I just think it's so cool, you know, just to see all of that and to see how things have changed and to see people who, because probably with you who keep lists, probably half of the authors you read from 1997 to 2005 are no longer writing.
Yes.
Yeah. Or either they're deceased.
Or I was say are deceased.
Or they're not writing anymore. Yeah. So it's a whole, it's not that many like you and Rashonda and a few others that have continually been writing.
Yeah.
Hill's another one. There's some.
Because I took a break. I had a dissertation to write.
That's a good reason to take a break. I forgive you.
Thank you. I'm dipping my big toe back in. I'll be back.
Okay.
Now we do have a list of all the guests that have been on the show, and we had over 500 guests. So not all are authors, but 75% are authors. But then book clubs, bookstores, agents, people who have book projects, publishers, anybody in the book space.
Yeah.
Been interviewing, and it's just been, and we didn't know where it was going to go when we started the show. We didn't know we were going to get to 3 years and over 500 guests. And,
that's
neither did we.
And we have some committed viewers, and we have a huge after show viewership. Like our shows, the live stream, we have a couple hundred people will watch it when it's live, but after a week, it'll be 2,000 views.
I believe. Yeah, because then people can see it at their convenience. So.
Right, at their leisure. So
well,
Victoria, I have a big question for you before we get started with the book. How did you continually shift genres?
I know.
It in fiction, but you have shifted genres, and I say that as a person who's multi-genre myself, but not within one genre. Like you shifted within the same genre.
And to add to that, Victoria was one of the first people to kind of redefine the way we looked at Christian fiction.
Right.
Yeah. So, you know, the thing is that so interesting that I do get all the accolades for like starting that Black Christian fiction genre, but I've never written one book until The Personal Librarian. I've never written one book to a genre. Never one book. I only write the story and then people put it into a genre. So when I wrote Temptation, and when I'm sure I've told you and Rhonda and Tony, you probably heard this. When I wrote Temptation, I didn't know I was writing Christian fiction. I didn't sit down to write Christian fiction. I sat down to write a story. And so the characters in the story were Christian, but I had never read Christian fiction. So it wasn't anything that I would have written. And everybody says, well, there's a reason why you had never read Black Christian fiction. It wasn't out there. It wasn't out there then, but I was just writing a story, and the characters in that book were Christian. And so it was my agent who said to me, this is Christian fiction. So then every book I've written after that, I just write the story. I'm not writing to, oh, let me make sure this is going to fit into Christian fiction, or let me make sure this is going to be a mystery, or let me make sure. The first time I wrote to a genre was when I wrote The Personal Librarian.
Okay. Okay.
And so one of the best compliments I got when the book was being reviewed for when Personal Librarian was being reviewed by the professional reviewers, I think it was Booklist, that said that this book had been written by Marie Benedict, who wrote about versatile women. That's what she did. And he said, and then it's also written by the incredible, versatile writer, Victoria Christopher Murray. And I thought that was like the best compliment I've ever received, because it just says that this was a white man saying she could write anything.
Yeah, well, I remember when you came on the show, before Personal Librarian came out, it wasn't out yet. It was like a couple of weeks before.
And didn't I tell you?
And you did tell me. You said this book is being promoted differently. It's a whole different experience, being more mainstreamed.
Yeah.
Not, and it's done really well. And then you come after that with the First Ladies. And then from what I read somewhere, was it on here or somewhere, you're working on another book. So let's talk about the First Lady, and just tell the audience that it's in here in an author's note or acknowledgement how it came about. But just tell the audience how this whole idea
how
of First
Ladies came about. So, it was interesting when I wrote The Personal Librarian with Marie Benedict, and she's a white author. We thought we were just writing a book together about this wonderful character, Belle DaCosta Green. We thought it was very important for us to write the book together to get Belle's full story. And that was it. But then as we started touring, while people loved Belle DaCosta Green, people were more interested in the story of me and Marie. People were fascinated because remember, the book didn't come out until 2021, but we had written it in 2020. We had done the edits. We were doing all the edits about a book about race while race was exploding around us in this country. And so people were fascinated by the fact that here was a Black woman, a white woman, different backgrounds, different writing experiences, because she had made the New York Times. She had lived a different life. They didn't put her over here in this little publishing, I won't call it the ghetto, but they didn't put her into just a little area. And so we had these different experiences, and people were fascinated about our experience together. And as we were on the road, people would come up to us after we'd spoken and we were signing books, and people would come up to us and say, I want one of you, or I want one of you. The crowds were predominantly white, but people were very interested in how did a Black woman and a white woman in this polarized world work so well together. And then we realized that maybe there was more to us writing together than just telling a story. Maybe we were also part of the story of, if you open up your mind to have these tough conversations, because Marie and I had to have some tough conversations writing these books. Then maybe we can make a difference in this world, just one person at a time. So we were looking for, with our next book, after The Personal Librarian, a way that we could really show the importance of conversation, and that a Black woman and a white woman could be friends. And that was a gift to us. Eleanor and Mary just happened to be exactly what we wanted to show. And it's the story of two powerful women in their own right, But when they came together and became best friends during a time of Jim Crow and segregation and changed some things, because the entire civil rights movement happened because of them. When they got FDR to sign that executive order, because he wasn't going to do it, he had to be pushed.
Yeah, that's true.
When they got him to sign the executive order to desegregate the military, no place else in the country was desegregated at that point. And they used the military to move it further through schools, through restaurants, through everything. And it would have never happened without Eleanor and Mary. And then writing that book gave us a chance to show the tough conversations that Black people and white people need to have. And to show that you can make mistakes with others, but white people need to be able to have a safe place to ask some questions. And asking Black people is not always safe, because with even me, I would say to Marie sometimes, you really don't know that. And they don't. And they don't. Because how would they? We see racism every day. Every freaking day we see racism. They don't. How would they? They only see it in these big spurts. They only see it on TV with Bloody Sunday. Then they see it on TV with George Floyd. And when they see it in the big way like that, then they jump in. But we're wondering, well, why aren't you jumping in every day? Because they don't see it. There's no way for them to see it.
Well, it doesn't happen to them. So
yeah,
it's not happening in their neighborhoods. It's not happening every day. They don't experience it like
right. It's not, you know, because it's not happening to them, it's like it's not happening.
But what most of the racism that I experience, I don't get pulled over by cops or anything, but I experience those microaggressions that they happen one after the other until I blow up, and then all you see is the angry Black woman.
Right.
Because they're like, why did she do that?
Yeah.
You know, why is she I live in I live in DC, but DC ain't Black no more.
I didn't know you lived in DC. You live down the street from me, Victoria.
I've been in DC now for years.
Oh, okay.
And so I the other day, you know, the concierge holds all of our packages. And the other day I went down to get a package, and the concierge was helping someone else in my building. Another owner was helping them find a package, and they couldn't find it or anything. So I'm standing there on my phone just waiting, because it's, you know, wait my turn. So another owner comes in and stands behind me, no problem. Then when the concierge helps the other woman, the lady comes from behind me, moves to the side and says, can you get a package for unit, you know, 15? And I said, she can after she get my package.
Right.
Wait a minute. Wait, no. Then the woman says to me, and she's all apologetic. She's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I thought you worked here.
Oh my God.
Oh no.
And so I said to her, what makes you think I work here? I mean, I'm dressed like you. I'm standing here like you. There's only one difference between us. She's like, don't get angry. Don't get angry. And but what it was by the end of the day, I had it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry about that. I don't know what happened.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
You're frozen.
Okay,
she
am I back?
We can't see you. Let's see.
There you are.
There you go.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. So I just, oh my goodness. I'm gonna have to tell this person that I'm on an interview. But the challenge was that sorry about this.
It's okay.
Just want to so that they don't keep coming back. The challenge was I had microaggression after microaggression after microaggression all day. And so the lady, I bet you if I were to tell her that was racist, she would be horrified.
Yeah.
Because she would not consider herself a racist. But you can't get more racist than that. And that's systemic, it's like in them, because what would make her think I worked there? I didn't have on jeans what? There's only one difference between me and her, because she was apologetic. She was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. So if she had stopped right there, it would have been cool. I thought you worked here.
She didn't have to say that part.
Exactly.
Because that part changed everything.
The whole dynamic.
And
Well,
so
we've been delivered from having to wait our turn, like our parents or grandparents, they had to wait till all the white people were served before they could get served.
Well, the part that bothers me, though, is not even so much that she thought you worked here, but that she kept saying, don't get angry, don't get angry. It's that fear of the angry Black woman that that really infuriates me. Even when Black men say it, oh, why are you so angry? Why do I have to be angry because I disagree with something that you said, or because I'm not a part of the status quo? It doesn't make me angry or argumentative or combative. So I think that's the part that bothered me more than her thinking you worked there.
Yeah, and those are what I call, and I don't want to sound racist, but those are what I call white women tears. Because it's almost like what happened with Coco Gauff in the tennis match. And the white one, because she stood up for herself. She had to advocate for herself because they were giving different rules to her than they were given to the other person. She told the umpire, the chair umpire, we ain't doing this today. And then her opponent went into the room and cried. Into the press room and cried.
What's funny about that, though, is that nobody's talking about the fact that her opponent actually yelled at the umpire first. Because when she got the point taken away, she said, why are you doing this? And she starts yelling at her and fussing at her before Coco said anything. And then Coco had to tell the lady, no, you're not allowed to sit down yet.
You're not allowed
she
to
sat
sit
down. So nobody's talking about that part.
And so these are conversations that we have among ourselves.
Black people have them we have them among ourselves. I don't know if white people have them among themselves. I don't know if they maybe know. And so we're hoping that these books will give people a chance to have these conversations with people who don't look like them. And fiction is a very safe place to ask questions. It's a safe place to land. And on the road, we've gotten some interesting questions. So that's how the book came about. That's why we write the book. And that's why we'll keep writing these books.
Oh, okay. Awesome. So one thing that and I want the other book clubs to give their impressions. I learned a lot about Dr. Bethune that I did not know.
Oh, right.
I knew her, but it was a lot I didn't know. And I didn't know that she was as influential behind the scenes, because she really preceded she kind of volleyed the ball up, teed the ball up for the 50s civil rights act.
Yeah, she moved us from Republican to Democrat. And then what I love best about Mary McLeod Bethune, because all of us think we know her, I've never seen anyone, I've never met anyone, I don't know anybody who is just a pure force. And what I mean by that is when they wouldn't let her students go to the hospital, she just built the hospital. When they wouldn't give her teacher any insurance, she just bought an insurance company. And the best thing is when they wouldn't let her grandson or her students go to the beach.
Right. And she built her
Bethune
own.
Beach is still there.
Yes,
It
it is.
still there. She
That's
bought a
amazing.
beach. That to me, I was done. I was done after that. I was like, that is pure force.
Right.
We don't need you. I will just do my own. And in fact, when she opened up McLeod Hospital, that was when the white hospital started taking Black people. You know, because once there's somebody to serve Black people, just like bookstores, Gwen, with bookstores with Barnes and Noble, Borders weren't taking Black authors when I started. Then all of a sudden the Black bookstores came in and now they all want to carry the books too.
Yeah, they still limit them though.
They still limit, that's right. They
They
still
want,
limit.
yeah, they want to see what's going to sell. I was
Right.
talking with Tiffany, actually. We were talking about historical fiction and how there's so much historical fiction going that's on the market right now.
Yeah.
And part of the reason why is because these publishing companies are seeing that historical fiction sells. So they'll go ahead and saturate the market because they know they're going to get at least a small percentage of that.
Yeah.
market.
That's what they did with urban fiction. Remember, there's always
Yes.
this genre. They're just looking for their Black author to do it.
Yeah, they it's kind of put their finger to the wind, and then they signed so many, and the self-published ones who've done well, and then they find others. But I am ecstatic because historical fiction is my favorite genre. So I mean, Black historical fiction, preferably from the 1800s, the early 1900s. That's what I love, because those books show the real passion and love and drive, and you had to have some serious love back then, because to keep all that, the families are trying to keep everything together and love somebody you might not see but once a year, or that was real love. And and when people can really tell those stories well, I miss J. California Cooper, because she was so good.
She was one of our favorites.
We loved her.
She did all of hers. One of our
good.
founders that passed away, she introduced us to J. California Cooper, and we read, I think, just about everything she wrote, we read.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
My favorite of hers was The Wake of the Wind. That was my favorite of hers. But I learned a lot about Mary McLeod Bethune, and also Eleanor Roosevelt that I didn't know.
Yeah.
And I still wonder, it seemed like and I don't know if it's the way it's written or if it was their relationship, but I'm pretty sure that it was their relationship. She seemed like she was still holding back some things, because she was only giving Eleanor Roosevelt as much as she felt like she could handle. She pushed the envelope some.
Well, you know, I just think that we do hold back. I think even with the best of white friends, Black people have to hold back.
Yeah, I agree.
And
because they can't accept from us what we can accept from each other. So we reach a certain point and then we stop, because we know if we go over that point, then that friendship may be shot to hell in a handbag.
Or they just don't get it. You know, it's
that too.
Don't get it.
Yeah.
And you really can't explain it to them, because you have to live it.
You have to live it.
You know, in order to understand it. And so that's just the way it is. But it's good to be able to share some of it, because in the past we really didn't share any of it.
But we don't. But you know, one of the things, and I agree with you, Gwen, because I think Black people just have to hold it back just a little bit, but they don't hold back.
No.
And I appreciate that, because we have gotten questions on the road from white people of things they just want to know. Like one person said, and these are white people standing up in an audience where there are other Black people too. So I do appreciate that. And they
Okay.
always started with, I don't want to offend you.
Okay.
But one
I'm
of the
getting ready to say something offensive. Go ahead.
but I think
Offensive.
I think the challenge is how they've been received sometimes. I think we need to take some responsibility for that. Too.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I think with us, we're tired of explaining the same thing over and over again. But they're like children. You don't ever get tired of telling your child something. You have to keep telling them until they get it. And I think it's hard for Black people to say, I'm not their trainer. Well, if we're not the trainer, who is?
Exactly.
And so, but like one of the questions was, in the book, I saw that you use colored and Negro, and I know some of my friends want to be called African American. What should I call you? Because she didn't know. And she didn't want to offend anyone by saying someone was African American, and then they want to be called Black.
That is such a good point, because it happens so much where I've seen it on YouTube, I've seen it on Instagram, where a white person will make a comment and they said, I'm not Black, but I want to know such and such. And then the people in the comments just yell at them and say, this is not your business. Don't ask these questions. So how are they supposed to know? How are they not supposed to be offensive if they don't have a safe place to ask the question?
And that's what I'm hoping, Rhonda, that these books do. Give people a safe place. And then
what did you answer?
I told you that we're Black because you see Black Lives Matter. But I said, but you know what? Because we didn't have an identity, like you came here and you know exactly who you are. We have shifted through the years trying to find ourselves. I said, just don't call us nigger. And then if somebody gets it, you seriously, that's what I told them. Just don't call us that. And if somebody gets offended, just say to them, I apologize. How would you like me to address you? Because some people will prefer to be called Black. Some people will prefer. So that was one. Another great question was, and this woman stood up in Maryland where it was like, there were 300 people there. It was about 150 people Black, 150 people white. So this young white woman took a chance. And she stood up and she said, I don't want to offend anybody, but why, if we're trying to go for equality, why in a sentence is Black capitalized when you're talking about a Black woman? And if you say white woman, the W is lowercase.
Whoa. That's a good question.
That's a good question because I had written that in my author's note. I had said a Black woman and a white woman, and the editor made the W lowercase. And so I asked why, and she said, it is the style, it's grammatically correct that the B is capitalized and the W is lowercase. I still didn't understand it.
Oh, yeah.
That woman, well, it's a style thing. So the publishers go by this book. It's called AP Style or something. I don't understand. But then I just happen to be I'm working on my first solo historical fiction project. And it takes place during the Harlem Renaissance. And I had just happened to read that W.E.B. Du Bois was the first person to say that they needed to capitalize Negro. Because, and then if you look at all articles 100 years ago, Caucasian was capitalized, but Negro was lowercase. And so he was telling them, you're racist for not capitalizing the N. The New York Times says, we don't care. We're not capitalizing it because y'all don't mean anything. So for years, even though we kept asking, it wasn't until after George Floyd that they put it in the style book that Black has to be capitalized and white is lowercase. And here's the reason. Black describes race and culture.
Right. It's a title.
White describes skin color. Their race is Caucasian. our race is Black. So when you write Caucasian, you put the C.
The capital.
But
Capital C.
where Black is not describing our skin color. Black is describing our race.
Okay.
And so that's why it's capitalized, because when you talk about any race, Italian American, African American, it was always capitalized. White is their skin color. Caucasian is their race. And so when I said that, the young white woman, when she came up to have her book signed, gave me a hug, because she said she had asked it once on social media, and
probably got
like
jumped
Rhonda
on.
said,
This poor baby.
attacked. And she said she didn't have any idea why she asked me, and Marie, I guess with Marie sitting there at help that night. Well, also, so that was a great lesson for her, right? And now she can go back and tell her friends. Well, also that night, a Black reader texted me afterwards, and she said, "You sure had a lot of patience with her, because I would have told her, your whole life is capitalized. Let us have our little capital."
That would not have solved anything.
So wait a minute. So I said that wouldn't do anything. That doesn't move the conversation forward. And we can't just keep blaming other people. We have to participate in moving the conversation forward.
Right.
And Keisha said, you know what, Victoria, I never thought about it that way. And now I'm going to try to be more like you with that. So I think there were 2 lessons taught that night. I just think there were 2 lessons taught, and they all came out of the discussion of that book.
Okay, well,
That's a great thing.
It is. I want the other 2 book clubs, if you have any, or Mama Tony, if you have any questions about the book, because we're getting close to the end of our time, and we have 3 trivia questions that we're going to be asking.
Okay.
So people can win.
Yeah, I'm sorry I messed this up. I came in here talking to y'all like y'all my girlfriend.
No, I'm enjoying it.
Girlfriend. Your whole writing career.
I know, so I kind of messed up the thing, talking about all kinds of stuff.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I just want to make sure that the other clubs had any questions about the book. And then I wanted to ask,
because Melinda, we've been just talking over you. Poor Melinda ain't let you say a word.
Give her a chance to say something.
All right, everybody be quiet. Melinda, what you got to say, girl?
Questions. I just want to make a statement of how this book took me on every emotion that I could think of. I was happy, I was sad, I was angry. I enjoyed it. I read it in like 2 days. I just wanted to make sure I was here so I can listen to what was said. So I didn't have any questions. I just wanted to say that.
Oh,
well, thank you for talking over me. So thank you. It was well written.
Oh, thank you. Especially that first scene, man. That's enough to get you angry, right?
Yes. A lot of parts. I felt like I was in the room when they were having the tea. I could hear the tea being poured. I felt like I was in the room when Nina was singing her song when she was listening to Strange Fruit. Yeah. I just felt like I was there the whole time. So thank you.
I love it. And then the way we opened the book, that really happened. Most of the scenes in the book really happened.
Okay.
We just had to draw on sometimes we just had a little seed, and then we had to fill it in because we don't know what people said. We don't know what they were wearing. We don't know everyone who was there, but everything really happened.
Okay. Now, how about Priscilla and Yvette? You all have to combine. You all are one.
Right. Well, I'll be perfectly honest, I haven't read the book yet, but I have it. I purchased it.
Okay.
Thank you.
We did read the person, like I said, the personal librarian. How do you all write so it appears seamless? Because we've read books from other authors where they were co-written, and you could actually tell when one person starts and then another person starts. But your book was seamless, and you couldn't tell where one, So how do you all collaborate when you write?
And that's one of the things I'm most proud of. Even in the First Ladies, you would assume that I just wrote everything with Mary McLeod Bethune and Marie wrote everything with Eleanor Roosevelt. But even people say that even when they assumed that, it was still felt like one. So the way we do that is we write every chapter together, not physically. So what we do is with the personal librarian, we talked about the upcoming chapters. So we would talk about like 5, 6 chapters at a time. And we would talk it out so much that by the time it came to writing, we kind of knew what it was going to say. So in the personal librarian, when it was a chapter on Belle and her life and her family, I wrote that first. If it was about art and history, because that was Marie's specialty, she wrote that chapter first, and then we switched. And then we would add in our parts and change. So for example, the personal librarian was the first time I wrote historical fiction. So I had been writing contemporary fiction. So there were times when I wanted Belle to say to J.P. Morgan, "What's up, dude? You better stop that, dude." That didn't quite work, you know, in early 20th century, that just didn't work well. And so Marie would come in and we would say that, you know, that was like her magical historical brush. But then I am a person very focused on putting the reader there. I have this big sign here in my office that says, "Put the reader there." So in the personal librarian, the very first scene, the very first time Bernard and Belle are together, Marie wrote that scene first because they were going to be going, they had come from an art place or something. I don't know, but she wrote that scene first. And this is no exaggeration. She wrote something like, they kissed outside the room, then they opened the hotel room door, they went inside. The next sentence said, and then it was morning. I was like, oh no, girl, no, let me tell you about my readers. My readers are gonna need to know what happened inside that hotel.
What happened until morning? I need to know.
That's right. I mean, just the first time. We don't need to know every single time, but the first time, she was a virgin, all of that stuff, we need to understand. And so Marie always tells everybody Victoria wrote that scene. Like when we did our signing and her parents were there, she said, "I just want everybody to know Victoria wrote that scene." And then there's another example in the personal librarian. Remember when Bernard was taking Belle, they were in London before they got to Italy. Okay. And he said, "We're gonna have lunch with somebody." And it was his wife. That really happened. So when Marie wrote that scene, Marie said, "It was hard for me to sit at lunch, but I got through it." I was like, "No, girl, let me explain." We need to know how she was feeling. Can you imagine sitting there with the wife? Can you imagine? And so that's why it kind of feels like one person wrote it, because we would switch the chapters back and forth like 3, 4 times.
Do you think that it was easy for you to collaborate? Because I know you and Rashonda have written quite a few books together. So you were already used to collaborating on a book. So did that make this process a little bit easier for you?
You know, it's always easier for me to write with another author because you have someone to talk it through. You have someone, like I'm writing this book by myself and I still can call up people, but when somebody else is as invested in it as you are, it's so much easier. So this was the first time Marie had ever collaborated. And so she wanted to know, you know, what's the process? And because she's an attorney by trade, she writes full time now. But she, you know, so she's an attorney. She has flow charts and spreadsheets, and she believes in deadlines. Clearly, I don't believe in deadlines. I think they're suggestions because my book is a month late now, so I'm feeling the pressure now. And so I just told her that there's no rules. We're gonna do it as we go along. And then every book is going to be different because we've already signed our contract to do our third book.
Okay, together. So
Yeah.
y'all are gonna have a third book together.
We're gonna have a third book together. My book by myself will come out first. It comes out not this January, next January. And then after that, our next book will come out together.
Okay. Now I have one final quick question before I ask these trivia questions, and people get to win a autographed copy of the First Ladies. And Victoria, you're gonna be sending me the book,
Yeah.
right? Okay. All right. So I have one quick question. Is the reason why there weren't photos in the book because it's fiction?
It's fiction, yes.
Okay. Okay. Because I would have loved to have seen some photos of them together, but because
then it makes it, then if you do that, it makes it feel like a nonfiction, and we never want to be nonfiction.
Right.
Because,
okay. Well,
because biographers hate historical fiction anyway. I've seen people online talk about, these people that make up this stuff, they should not be doing it. It's either history or it's not. And I don't think they understand that people are not going to read history textbooks.
It brings an appreciation.
Exactly.
Sometimes when you read a historical fiction, even whether it's a book or whether you're watching a movie, it makes you appreciate what really happened. And often people will do their own research after that.
After that, people start doing their own research.
Yes,
but I'm not going to read a history textbook. I'm going to tell you right now.
It's true. It's true. All right. So we have 3 trivia questions. Anyone can answer them in the chat and the comments online. And
just give me time to put it in the chat before y'all start going crazy.
But but Rhonda has them. She's going to post them, but I'm going to say them verbally. Okay. So the question number one, what was the first name of Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune's son? So you have had to have read the book to know the answers to these questions that I want. What was the first? Okay, Melinda Wynn got it in the chat here.
He got it there quick.
Okay.
Let me write it.
I hadn't even got my fingers to the keyboard yet, Melinda.
Gotta be quick.
Melinda got it fast. Okay, so Melinda, you have never won a book, so you'll need to DM the book festivals, the page that you're watching this on. DM us your mailing address, tell us you want the autograph copy, and we'll mail it to you. Okay, so Melinda Wynn won the first one. Okay, second question.
She gonna win them all. You see how
she is. Already, I can see it. I see it.
So she's gonna give these books away.
Okay, that was the easiest one. And you can only win one since it's an autograph copy. So you can only win one. So, okay, the next one. What was the name of the women's organization Bethune started?
I know that. Oh,
okay. You have to type it. You have to type
Priscilla.
And you have to type the whole. You have to type the whole word, the whole title, not the acronym. The whole
all right,
name.
come on, type it up. Hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. You got this.
So let's see who gets it. If somebody gets it online or in the chat on here. Either way, you can win the book. So the name of the organization that Mary McLeod Bethune started.
I don't know this.
And because we're in the final 2 minutes, I need to ask the other one. So if you do it after we go off the air, that's fine too. Whoever does it first. It has to be the whole name of the organization. Okay, here's the final one. This one's trickier.
Yeah, Priscilla still got it.
Okay, Priscilla Myers got it. Okay, and Priscilla, I'm not sure if you won a book before either.
I have not.
Okay, so DM us your mailing address. And the final question, what was the name of the flight instructor at Tuskegee that flew Eleanor Roosevelt in his plane? So the name of the organization was the National Council of Negro Women. That was the name of the
Ooh, that's and girl, I wrote the book. I don't remember his name, and that's a real person.
That's the name of the flight instructor. We're on our last minute, and we have to go off the air.
His nickname.
The right one.
No, if you get it afterwards, we're still checking the comments. So Victoria, we're closing out the show. We got 1 minute left. Thank you so much for participating.
And thank you for always supporting me when you have, everybody, you have supported me since I had that little blue cover book.
With the apple on it?
Yeah, it looked
Have
like
an
a
apple, it had
tomato.
something red on it.
It was an apple, but it would look like a tomato.
Okay.
I self-published that book, and I am just so grateful because I would not be here without people like you and you, Rhonda, and you, Tony, and new ladies who came to know me. I would not be here. I just know these ladies because, I mean, Rhonda, I was in Europe, in Germany, and she came to see me. That's like crazy. Like, where they do that at?
Victoria supported my very first event when I started my business in New Orleans. The one for Essence Festival.
I really like that though.
And she was at our very first National Black Book Festival, and this year is year 16. We hope to have you and Rashonda next year. I'm
going to be in South Africa this year.
Yeah, I know this year, but I mean next year.
By the way, Mary Evans won.
She won the other book. Okay.
Yes.
And the name is
Charles Alfred
Anderson. That was his name, Charles Anderson. Okay. Well, we need to sign off.
Thank you, ladies. This has been fun.
Thank everybody for watching Black Authors Matter TV. We'll see you next Tuesday at the same time. I'm Gwen Richardson signing off.
And I'm Dr. Randall Lawson. Everybody go to ESPN and watch this Black history that's happening right now in the US Open.
Okay.
Thank you for tuning in and join us next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern for another edition of Black Authors Matter TV.